G'day YouTube viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do an update on my new rocket build with a large payload capacity. So at the moment, this is where it stands. I've got 6 fins in the back rather than 4, all for good reason. If you remember the payload that I had in the front in the previous episode, it was bigger, but also gave us a bit of an issue with the central balance. With the other payload bay, if I just pull out the whole rocket, the center of balance was pretty much right here. If you can see that white line, that's not where you want it to be, especially if you want it coming down horizontal. So with the payload still in place, the original one, and 4 extra fins in the back, the pivot point is now back here, and that wasn't enough, and that's probably about just over an inch, roughly, about an inch further back. And as you can see, it's just not enough. So this line here represents the pivot point with the new payload bay. So I decided to get rid of the first payload idea and go for something even a bit more simpler and a bit more less weight as well. With the other payload that I had before, it weighed 91 grams, which was still not bad, within limits. Compare that to Challenger 2, which is just down the back here, weighing at 92, so an extra gram. That's fine because it's longer. You get extra boost once it leaves the air cannon. This one's a bit shorter, so we might not get enough altitude, the same height as Challenger 2. So now, being nice and lightweight, I decided, even with the pivot point now right down where my finger is, right there, if I pull back the rocket, that's quite reasonable enough, and it should be sufficient enough to bring the rocket down horizontal. And if not, even better, looks like it might even backslide, so it might come down backsliding, which is much better, because at least when it lands, it's not going to land that way. It's going to land tail first, and this is pretty much light enough, so you don't want any impact in the front end when it lands. So you're trying to avoid impact on the front end at all costs. As soon as it lands, or just before it lands, you can get it to land fin first. If the fin breaks, don't worry about it. You can hot glue it back again. It's not a problem. So I decided to leave the extra fins in the back. So there's 8 fins. Again, hot glued into place. Looks reasonably stable from visual, just based on it previous experience. So I've hot glued the engine mount inside. All the extra hot glue that was in there just came out from the went out to the outside. It started to melt the plastic, but which was a bit of a concern, just around the bottom of that plastic area. I thought I'm going to have major issues, maybe a bent tube or not, but as you can see, everything's okay, nice and straight. The inside where the polystyrene was is a little bit, has been changed a little bit. just to sit much better on the bottom. We've gone for a polystyrene nose cone, again, very lightweight. And I've also marked, when I'm loading the payload, I've marked which side is which, as you can see, so I can line that up properly. If I hot glue that in place or glued it, the issue is going to be how am I going to load all my insects and bugs. And this, of course, is just to make sure that it's secure into place, the nose cone, and make sure it's lined up properly during the takeoff phase. So you can see, very nicely done. So what was 91 grams before is now 78 grams. So that puts it in par between these green 75 that I've got up there. And just before that, I'll compare you the old one, the original payload size with the new one. It's still quite reasonably large, as you can see, side-by-side comparison. So much more room in there. So in terms of the weight limit is 78 grams compared to the Foton 80. So 80 grams on the Foton. Lengthwise, it is a bit long, but from the actual engine mounted engine block itself, it is pretty much the same, but you're only going to lose a little bit on the new one, on the red one. So there's not much difference between both of them at all. Just despite that having extra fins on the red one, and the Foton only has 2. Mind you, Foton now been upgraded. He's been flying very well indeed, after the adjustments that I made in the back and getting rid of some things here that they shouldn't just be there. So 78 grams on the red one, 80 on the Foton. This is another high performance one, 75 grams on this one. Of course, there is no engine block in there as it's straight through. So the PVC pipe will hit pretty much all the way up here. So this will give you that extra altitude that you need. Like I said, the longer the better. Get extra height. Now, we've just got to compare the red one with the L52, especially the payload. So talking about payload section here. Side-by-side comparison. You can see the size. L52 does have an engine block inside as well, and that's stuck on the outside. Challenger, side-by-side comparison. As you can see, much more payload, much more cargo space. So this is something new. If I ever need to launch anything that I need extra or something bigger, maybe something easier to load rather than loading on these ones, because in order for me to load bugs and insects, it's got to get in here, and it's quite narrow. As you can see in there, there's the engine block. It's closing off the pipe. Sometimes it gets frustrating loading insects and bugs, and this is where the red one will come in handy, very handy. Challenger 2 has an engine block in there. It's just a plastic cap. It's a blue one. It's hot glued into place, and then the payload bay there is also hot glued in place as well. The fin design, Challenger 2, and the fin design on the L52. And there you go. So it's going to be a three. So I've got 3 rockets at the moment. As I said, the L52, Challenger 2, which is payload capable. And now we've got this one. It doesn't have a name yet. Not sure what to call it. I was thinking of calling it maybe Ariane from the European Space Agency launch rocket. I might be calling it, I'm not sure. We'll find out. If anyone has a nice name to this rocket, leave a comment below so I can name it. So there you go. I do have another red one that I built just before this one, but that's going to be a backup, but it doesn't have that extra cargo space. It's just another red tube with this size bottle attached on the top. So it's going to have the engine blocks already on there, and that's already stuck also on the first red one, which I didn't show you before. So that's going to be my backup. Again, I've got no name for it. So now the question remains, what am I going to do with this one? The ones that I've already been flown. The top performance. Well, I can't really do anything because they've already been proven to be a success in flight. So the Atlas, the Sparrow, of course, the Foton and the rest of them. Got the Aries. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but at the moment I'm just going to be focusing on something that I can actually launch. Being something scientific as usual. So like I said, there's plenty of bugs around here and cockroaches, if not in here but out there in the backyard, and we'll see where we go from there. So stay tuned until the next episode. If you see what you like, thumbs up and subscribe for future episodes. So till then, bye for now.